Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fathers United podcast. I'm your host, and the purpose of this podcast is to sit down, discuss relevant topics related to fatherhood, to give fathers a place to feel cared about and seen, and just come chill and talk about relevant things. As per usual, we will get started with the dad of the week. And this week we have Felipe Morgis. Sorry if I said your name wrong. This dad who didn't want to let his daughter down. When Felipe Morgis became his daughter's sole guardian when she was just 1 year old, he had no idea what to do with her hair. Instead of accepting defeat, he decided to wise up when it came to hair. The committed father soon became an expert in how to do complicated fashion hairstyles. Morgis was often approached by other dads who asked him how he managed the styles. In true cool dad style, Morgis decided to share his new skills with the wider community of dads. The inspiring dad set up the Daddy-Daughter Hair School, allowing other dads to learn more about hair. Hold on, because he got like a whole website. Let me open this up real quick. What is this website called? Hairstylepedia.com, daddy daughter hair. And it looks like it has, let's see, this page was created to share the daddy daughter hair factory. You will find beginner's manual, tutorials, and the story of how it was created. DDHF was created to encourage fathers who are learning about hair, support them on this journey. It's not about the braid, it's about the bond. That's tight, dude. He's got what? Box braids, butterfly braids, brown braids, boxer braids, mohawk braids. I don't know what half this shit is. I could have used this when my baby was little. I can't do her hair. I can put it in puff balls, and that's about it. Her mom asks me to wash it sometimes, and it's a task beyond reason. So shout out to all the fathers who do hair. Shout out to all the mothers who do hair, because fuck that. But is this website, go ahead and check it out. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. I get nothing from this. Basic hair care maintenance, cutting hair and why it's important, washing the hair, conditioning, things to consider when swimming. It looks like it breaks down everything you could ever possibly need when it comes to doing your daughter's hair, which is crazy. So shout out to Felipe Morgis. You are the Fathers United Dad of the Week. Don't know if you'll ever see this, but we recognize you. Can't believe you did that. That's pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. I'm stuck scrolling on this website. There's a lot of stuff. And then it like breaks down into other things. Bob braids, hairstyle, that wow. Kinky twist braids. Wow. Wow. Dope. Very dope. So, today's episode, as we said last week, is about children with multiple women. And when we last left off, I told you guys that my dad had said two things to me that stuck with me throughout my life. And one we talked about last week. The other we'll talk about right now. If you want to know more, I'm not going to get into my relationship with my dad again. We talked about that last week. If you want to know about that, you can watch episode 4 or 5. I lose track of these things already. You can check out the previous episode for that information. But suffice to say, we are cool, we're great, but there is a gap there. And the second thing that he told me that stuck with me and really formed a lot of the way that I am. I had to be about 8 to 10 years old, and we were in Savannah, Georgia somewhere. And it had to be Savannah because the house that we stayed was near a lake, and I know that there's no lakes in Atlanta, so I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in Savannah. And one day we was just chilling. It was just me and him, and we were like looking up at the night sky or something like that. And it's still one of my favorite things to do. And he's told me, he didn't really tell me, he didn't look at me. He kind of just said it. I don't know if he was saying it to me or not. Well, yeah, I do. He was saying it to me, and he said, you know what bothers me is that I will never have all of my kids under the same roof at the same time. And that I don't know if it was how he said it or the fact that he didn't look at me, or I don't know what it was, but that stuck with me for till now, honestly. I never talked to him about this. I don't even know if he remembers saying that to me. But what I do know is that from that moment on, I kind of realized, I took a look at him and everything, and he had 4 or 5 different kids by about 3 or 4 different women in 3 different states. I'm the second oldest, and we're grown now, all of us. He's a grandfather. He's a grandfather now, and he was absolutely right. He will never have all of his children under the same roof at the same time. There was moments where we would all be together, like in Pittsburgh. Sometimes we would all be together, but any significant amount of time that meant anything, he never got to have that. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it was the sadness or what it was, but when he said that, I took it upon myself and I swore to myself that if I ever got a woman pregnant, I would be with that woman. I was going to make it work. And that is how I came at life for years and years, believing that. Never once did it cross my mind that maybe the woman I got pregnant wouldn't want me. I never considered that. I never thought about that. And that's exactly what happened with the mother of my daughter. I never wanted to have kids with multiple people. And it was based solely on my dad saying that and how I felt from him having told me that. With hindsight, he could have taken the time to sit me down and tell me how he ended up in that situation, or how he managed it, or had any sort of relevant conversation with me about it, but he did not. And we talked about that in a previous episode. I'm not going to get too deep into that and make it run long, but suffice to say, I never expected that scenario. So when that happened, it really broke me down and then put me in like a dark place, which is how I ended up with my son's mother, and here we are now. But since then, I've just kind of taken a step back, really, to look at everything and to assess myself, my everything that, because I came at that, I thought that was a good mindset to have. I'm going to be with this one person, but there's a lot of factors in that. Number one being, what if she doesn't want me? And you can't force somebody to love you. You can't force somebody to be with you. So I had to deal with that. But what I do when it comes to the parenting aspect of it, I never let the fact that with her she didn't want me, or with my son's mother it just was not going to work out in any way possible. That doesn't affect the parenting, because my son and my daughter didn't ask for that. They didn't ask for anything. They were just born into this world and they need to be taken care of, and that's just what I have to do. And that conversation, having that conversation with them, kept or keeps us at a baseline. Like, yeah, we'll fight, we'll argue, we'll disagree about certain things. The juggling of 2 different personalities, 2 different women, the juggling of those 2 different beliefs is hard. But as long as that baseline of, they know whatever I'm doing is for the kids and it's not going to change ever. So with that in mind, we're able to progress forward with the best possible, this is for them. This is for the little ones. They're first and forefront in the mindset. And I think that baseline is necessary with fathering children with multiple women, because a lot of the times, from my personal experience, they'll feel like, just from what they express to me, I don't want to be secondary, or I don't want to be pushed to the side. I don't want, we don't deserve that kind of stuff and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, firstly, we have to understand that we're not together. We're not going to get together, this and that. And then that's where the baseline comes in, establishing that bond and that connection. And the glue of that connection being the children is paramount to maintaining, for me personally, to maintaining the relationship that I have with them, and the keeping it copacetic with them in that way. And that's just my personal experience with it. I wish my dad would have told me more. I wish, he would. To this day, I wish he would say more, but he feels like, his job is done, and I just kind of respect that. I just leave it at that. I learn as I go, I wing it. I search if I need some help. I look online. There's all kind of like stories on Reddit, and there's not a plethora of articles and things like that, but there are outlets and mediums that one can find to get some sort of, I guess, a mental start point to where you can kind of figure out for yourself what works best for you in that situation and how you should move forward, because the way it works for me might not work for everybody. I just so happen to have gotten lucky and gotten somewhat reasonable women pregnant, and so they are willing to deal and talk, and their paramount concern is the raising of healthy, intelligent children for the most part. So on that, we see eye to eye. But everybody, I already know, everybody's situation is not like that. Sometimes the dad is the crazy one, sometimes the mom is the crazy one, and at the end of the day, it's about the kids. So this article is from the Institute for Family Studies. Then we're going to break down some of this and talk about a little bit of this in today's subject. How multiple partner fertility influences child well-being. This is just a quick statistic that I find pretty crazy. 1 in 6 U.S. parents has biological children with more than one partner. That's from the Census Bureau. This is kind of obvious, but multiple partner fertility can complicate parent and sibling relationships. If I had to describe my family life when I was a child, it would be complicated. I am the only child of my parents who divorced when I was 2. By the time I turned 5, both my parents had remarried. From their new unions, I gained 5 half-siblings, 3 from my father's marriage and 2 from my mother's. Her new husband also had 2 sons from a previous union. So until they divorced, I also had 2 stepbrothers. I love my half-siblings very much, but our relationship has sometimes been complicated by the reality that I have different biological mother and father. Although both my parents went to great lengths to blend me into their new families, I always felt like a bit of an outsider in both. That's tough. I always wondered, because personally, it only happened once, but one of the ladies that my dad ended up dating later in life, and we're not quite sure if their child is my dad's child, but he was my baby brother at the time. She was incredibly jealous of my dad having been with other women, and she used to mistreat us in some ways. And I always wonder about that, like the stepmother or the stepfather mistreating the child. I grew up in a community where this type of family complexity was common. Many of my relatives also had remarried parents, half-siblings, step-parents, and distant or absent biological fathers. And some of my family members grew up to form complex families of their own. Perhaps that's why I did not consider it all that unusual for my parents to have biological children with more than one person, a phenomenon family scholars call multiple partner fertility, or MPF. Nor did I connect the complexity of my family to the instability I experienced as a child. Instability is crazy, dude. While MPF is certainly not new, it is increasingly common today due to the rise in divorce and non-marital childbearing. I'm a part of that statistic. Just how common it is has been difficult for researchers to track, mainly because of the complexity and instability associated with it. To better estimate its prevalence, a new U.S. Census Bureau research brief relies on data from the 2014 Survey of Income and Program Participation, the first nationally representative survey to include a specific question about MPF. According to the report, 1 in 10 U.S. adults, or 10.1% of individuals aged 15 and older, has experienced MPF. The prevalence of MPF increases among parents, adults with biological children, where 15.7% have MPF. It's even higher and possibly more accurate among parents of two or more biological children. 20.6% have MPF. Among men and women with two or more children, 21.6% of mothers have MPF, while 19.3% of fathers have MPF. I would have swore to God that men would have had a higher percentage of that. That's crazy. What impact does MPF have on children? Now, this is the part where I wanted to get to. An extensive body of research has linked MPF with negative child well being. One reason is that MPF can diminish a parent's ability to parent well. For example, a recently published study by Paula Fomboy found that mothers with MPF are more likely to experience depression and parenting stress than mothers who have biological children with only one father. Huh. Okay. As to why mothers with MPF tend to be more stressed and prone to depression, it might be partially due to how having children with multiple partners can divide a mother's loyalty. If her new partner mistreats her child from a previous union, or if the child and stepdad simply do not get along, the mother is understandably conflicted. If she sides with her child over her new man, it could cause problems between them, or worse, result in her other children, the biological kids of her new partner, losing their father. Sadly, I've watched this division of loyalty lead to stressed out mothers to stay too long with men who are a danger to at least one of their children. That's fucked up. And I completely can see how that happens. I've seen the reverse of it, because that's why my dad and that other lady didn't work out. We actually went and talked to him about her mistreating us, and he wasn't having that. He would like go to work, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so she would like have her little one, and he would get like better lunches and snacks, and she would make us eat like, they never made us eat vegetables that we didn't like, and at the time we didn't like bell peppers and stuff. We were kids, and she would like always cook bell peppers every day and give them to us, and then he would get like greens and stuff, and she like didn't beat us, but she would pinch us and stuff like that. And we told him, and surprisingly, from what I understand, she was open about it. I guess she took that moment to tell him that she wanted him to send us back or something like that, and to just be with them. And you know, my dad, like, say what I can, I say what I will about my dad, but he didn't play that type of stuff. You know, he loves all his kids, so that was it on that one. This is from what I understand. Honestly, he might say something completely different now, but who knows? Another consistent finding related to child well-being in MPF families is that these children tend to have less involved fathers. In a presentation about her study, Marcia Carlson explained that the MPF fathers often spend less time and resources on their biological children from former unions. Something that both of the mothers of my children talk to me about. But then that's where I think conversations come into play, and the assurance and the standing up. I tend to go above and beyond because I refuse to allow something like that to happen. But I completely understand that that is something so common. Some people have called this swapping families. The fathers have moved on in a certain way. There's less incentive to invest in your kids when you don't live with them. You don't know how the money you give is spent. You are not involved with the children daily. That's bum nigga shit. That is bum shit. I'm not with them all the time, so it's less incentive. The incentive is that they're your goddamn children. That's upsetting, and I know it exists out there, but just sometimes a father's relationship with his biological child is inhibited by the child's mother and her new partner. Facts, I've seen that. I've seen mothers push their children's biological father away, often under pressure from their new boyfriend or husband, so the partner can be the child's new daddy. In addition to disrupting the child's vital connection to his or her biological father, this can backfire when the mother's new relationship ends, or if her partner does not end up being the stepfather she hoped he would. If you're watching this right now and you are doing something like that, or you're in a relationship with an individual who is pushing you to leave the child's biological parent alone to focus on them, then you should just end the relationship right there. Nobody should come between a child and their parent. Just an example, my daughter's mother is in a relationship. She has been since we broke up, and my only thing was the same thing I told both of them: before you have this individual around my children, make sure it's serious, and I would like to meet them first. That's it. I'm not gonna, do nothing crazy, or I just want to vibe them out, look them in the eye, say certain things to them, and let them know that I'm their father. Don't you put your hands on my kids, or I'll beat the shit out of you. That type of stuff. Just simple things. I'll extend my phone number to them. So if something happens and they feel like my child did something and needs some sort of reprimanding, you reach out to me. Don't you touch my child in any kind of way. I do not care how much you're there. That's just me. I'm not some absentee father, so I feel like I have the right to do those kind of things. For children, NPF is associated with a greater risk of behavioral problems, poor academic performance, adolescent drug use, and depression. A recent study by Cynthia Osborne and Paula Fomboy, using data from the Fragile Families and Child Well-Being Study, found that NPF was robustly related to a self-reported delinquency and teacher-reported behavioral problems amongst children born to married mothers. I believe that coincides with one of the statistics I had heard, and I think Kevin Samuels or some red pill conversation talking about children raised by single mothers have a higher percentage or a higher chance of in being involved in these kind of things, and they were using that as a way to tell fathers to get up off their ass and do their stuff. And I agree. That is a kind of a fear of mine personally, that these sort of things will happen. So I try to pick them up every week, go to their events that they have. If I got to call off of work sometimes to do something, I try to do it to show my presence, to make my presence known, so that I can mitigate these kind of things, because I know the possibility of it is there. I know how I was growing up, and even though my dad was always available in some way, he didn't live in the house. And with hindsight, perhaps some of my behavioral problems as a child was a result of him not being there on a regular basis. I couldn't tell you, don't really care to research it too much. I turned out fine, but I would say that is attributed in some way to him at least being in my life to the degree that he was. Who knows what would have happened if he wasn't. Another study found that the presence of half and step siblings in a family is associated with a greater risk of depression, delinquency, and poor academic performance for children. Didn't know that. Finally, a study by Karen Benjamin Guzzo and Cassandra Dorius found that a mother's NPF has a significant direct and moderate effect on adolescent drug use and sexual debut net of cumulative family instability and exposure to particular family forms like marriage, cohabitation, and divorce. Drug use and sexual debut net of cumulative family instability. It's kind of tough for me because I don't like the term half siblings, because technically all of my siblings are half siblings, but I always get mad when people say that, or they say step siblings or stuff like that. No, this is my brother, this is my sister. Don't refer to them as that. That other shit is irrelevant to me. And I've never actually met anybody with half sibling. All of my friends and family that have them, we're all very close. The idea of that is kind of strange to me, but I guess, in movies and TV shows, you've seen that the half sibling or the step sibling will mistreat the other one, and I guess that exists, but that's just kind of crazy to me. Of course, NPF does not impact all children in the same way, and not every child growing up in an NPF family will experience these adverse outcomes. But as I saw in my family, NPF can complicate parent and sibling relationships. When we read that 1 in 6 U.S. parents have biological children with more than one person, we should remember the children behind those numbers. Children growing up in often unstable families where they must navigate the complexities of their parents' romantic relationships and the birth of half-siblings, while also potentially dealing with the loss of relationship with their other biological parent, often the father. Multiple partner fertility might be a reality for some families today, but it is one with troubling implications for the social and economic well-being of future generations. This article said it pretty well. As the divorce rates raise, as, unwed parenting raises in this country, there's really nothing you could do about that except try to find ways to mitigate that relationship, which I discussed how I do it earlier in the episode. And I would suggest that if you're looking for a baseline, start there. Establish that this is about the children first and foremost, and that everything else is secondary. Sometimes that means that I have to take some egg on the face. I gotta lose some arguments. I gotta uh, let something that I don't fully agree with slide to keep things copacetic, so that I can make sure that this relationship with these children is the best possible relationship it can have. And it sucks, but sacrifices must be made to reach greatness. And the greatest greatness to me is making sure that the kids grow up intelligent and safe and secure and to be functional adults. I'm not trying to raise no fucking weirdos out here that are rude and disrespectful. Some of these people that need to get punched in the face out here on these streets. We've all met them. That's not me. That's not what they want. So we come together and we try to make sure that it doesn't happen, regardless of the blending and the mixing of the families and none of that. I don't do that half sibling shit. I don't do that. This is your half sister. That's your brother. That's your sister. That's your cousin. That's what it is. You guys, none of that half shit. I don't do any of that. No, I don't allow the even little bit of fracturing because to me, if I say, oh, this is your half brother, then well, he ain't my full brother. That allows that to kind of ferment and grow in the back of the mind, even if it's not intentional and the child does that. Later on when they meet people with full siblings and they start to understand the difference in that may affect that. And screw that. This is your brother, this is your sister, period. Y'all stand together, y'all fall together. That's what it is. So now we get into the horror story for this week. I got this one off Reddit, r/relationships. It's 8 years old now, but it came up and I felt like this subject kind of went with what we were talking about. Me, a 26-year-old male, and my girlfriend, a 24-year-old female, 1-year-old daughter, baby daddy drama. We have been dating a little less than a year. We have pretty good relationship and spend almost every day at either my place or her place due to our leases being unbreakable. She works earlier hours than me, so I get her daughter ready in the morning and take her to school every morning. I share the cost of her daughter, helping pay for activities, food, groceries. I spend copious amounts of time with her daughter, and this has led to issues with her accidentally calling me daddy, saying she wants to call me daddy. Her teachers refer to me as her parent, etc., etc. Huh. That would upset me if I was the dad, but I'm almost certain that this dude is a deadbeat. It just has a deadbeat vibe in the beginning. It's about as close to a step-parent relationship possible without the marriage factor. For the past year, her daughter's father has been non-existent in her life. I fucking knew it. I knew it, dude. Oh my God. He lives thousands of miles away. I believe he's called her twice on the telephone and is only supportive financially because the state takes it out of his check automatically. He owes thousands in back child support and is generally non-existent other than a text message every other few months in which he never mentions his daughter. My GF states she wishes I could adopt her daughter, but all the while we're very hush-hush anytime her daughter calls me dad because we never know when the baby daddy is going to pop up. That's smart. That's a smart thing to do. I don't want to complicate it anymore for the little lady. Today is the first time baby daddy has come to town. He's here for 4 days. He had an engagement to attend in our city and figured he hit 2 birds with 1 stone. This dude sounds like a fucking douche. See his daughter and attend the engagement. I share the cost of her dance class 50-50 with my girlfriend and thoroughly enjoy all 3 of us going to it and getting yogurt afterwards. It's become one of our weekly family events, and my girlfriend knows how much I enjoy it. I was essentially pushed aside because the baby daddy decided he wanted to be at her dance class tonight and disinvited. That'd piss me off. Then on the flip side, though, if I was the dad, I would get kind of mad if I got told I couldn't come. It's not like I'm here that often, but it's because you're a bum that you probably should get pushed aside. It's a cold situation. I want to be supportive of possibly having baby daddy actually show up as a positive male figure in his daughter's life for once, but I'm also torn that I'm so easily pushed aside for a man who hasn't even so much as lifted a finger to contact his daughter in a year's time. I'm looking for any type of advice here. I think before I go in on this, I'm going to just read some comments here. If this is only going to be a one-time thing and the dad is going to continue being useless afterwards as predicted, then it's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's best to just let it go this once. However, if it happens more than once, you should definitely raise it as an issue because it's unfair to you to be pushed aside when A, you're the child's effective father, B, you have made it clear how much you enjoy this outing, C, you pay 50-50 for the class. On the last point, if he keeps going and you keep getting pushed aside, I'd say he should pay half for it rather than you, but he is very unlikely to cough up the money, and this would cause upset with the child and her mother and would ultimately only negatively affect the little girl. So while it's financially injustice, it might be best to not to do anything for a little while with that one. Nah, bro. Don't do that. I know this is old, but don't do that. Stand up for yourself off top. I'm paying for this. I've been putting it down for a year. A year is, short, but a year is also long. And a year can have a lasting effect on the child. Like this year that you spent with this child might be one of the best years in this child's life in memory. And if dude is just going to keep doing that, then. But this is kind of what we were talking about in that article, where it's like you're starting a new family. Now problems are arising because you're going to want something from the mother. But at the same time, that mother has a connection with that dude. Like they might not be together. He might be crappy. And a lot of women might disagree with what I'm about to say. But there will always be a connection between the parents of a child. You can hate them to the ends of the earth, but if they act right for not even a predetermined, if they act right for a certain amount of time and show you that they are something, that spark will arise. It's just a natural thing, maybe I can say personally over time it will go away if you work at it, but if that's not something that she's working at, there is a possibility that she could run back to this dude if he act right. It's only been a year. What if the next year he spends the next year being the best baby daddy ever? Then where does that leave you? This next comment, you were probably uninvited because the ex may have started drama over you being there. More than likely, that's what happened. I don't want him there. I want to see my child dance without him being there. He sees it all the time, or any number of things could have been said. And more than likely, to avoid the drama, she just did that without really thinking. Because it's about the kid at the end of the day. And I'm pretty sure that the little girl was happy to see her daddy. I don't think it's a permanent thing. He's not showed up before, and it's likely just doing so because he's already in town. You've done so much already that I don't think you're going to ever be pushed aside for him. Bullshit. Bullshit. It can happen, my guy. He is her biological father, so the mother naturally wants the relationship for her daughter, but you've been a father to her and a good one at that. That's not something many people are willing to throw away, regardless if the biological dad shows up. Talk to your girlfriend about it, make your feelings for her and her child clear, and that nothing changes no matter who walks into her life. I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit off top. You most certainly are at risk of getting pushed aside. We all are at any given moment. You could be the best person in the world, but if feelings develop for somebody else and those feelings turn to love, at any moment you can get pushed aside. It is, especially in today's days and time with social media and everybody feeling like they have so many options. Loyalty is so fleeting, it seems, right now. Finding a real one and sticking with them is hard because most people seem to think that relationships aren't work in the same way that and I'm one of those people. Now that I'm older, with hindsight, I messed up stuff with good women because I didn't understand the work that was required in that. I thought it was supposed to be easy. I thought it was supposed to be, I thought that fluffy feeling of love was supposed to be there all the time, not fully understanding because I didn't have any examples to look at or nobody to tell me. It's hard work, and you got to put in that work to make that work. And if I could be wrong, and she could be one of those women that recognizes that, and if she is, more power to her. But bro, yes, you are at risk of getting pushed aside. Well, I guess we'll read these next two. Your girlfriend should have more respect for you than this. There shouldn't be any reason you both can't go. Talk to your girlfriend. Tell her how that you feel hurt, especially since you were the one paying for half the class. That's facts. At the end of the day, I'm speaking from a perspective of I'm the dude, I'm paying for it. That's my child. So, hey, I don't want you there. But you're paying for it and you're there. So how you gonna tell me I can't go? You can ask me and then, maybe discuss it with me and we come to some sort of agreement. Like, okay, you know what? I'll let him have this day. But to come and just tell me, hey, you can't come tonight because of this. What you mean I can't come tonight? You wasn't saying I can't give you this money to pay for this. You know what I mean? That's sideways. The question should be why you're raising another guy's kid to begin with. Hey man, this individual said it. I was thinking it too. I mean, props to you for doing it, but you young. It sounds like you do not have to do that, my guy, at all. Especially if it's gonna come with baby daddy drama. Why do you have to put up with baby daddy drama? It's not going to stop. The longer you guys are together, it's not going to change. It's only going to get harder when you have your own kids. You're not going to want to be dealing with this sort of thing. And this, again, goes right into what we said, that MPF, multiple parent fucking or whatever the heck it stood for. I don't remember. That goes right into it. This is what you're setting yourself up for. And, if it's too much for you, then you need to take a moment to think about that because you are attaching yourself to this child and removing yourself from the picture will negatively affect that child. And that's something that you need to consider because at the end of the day, like I said, it is all about the child. I actually replied to that comment about raising the kids. I've grown to love her as if she was my own. She's not just some kid to me after spending the last year with her and her mother. I respect that. I salute that. Especially because you don't have to do that, but it's not your kid, man. That's not your kid. If the dad moves back in town, if there's so many different possibilities of things that could happen that could lead that situation astray. So I would just say be on your toes, be ready, talk to her, discuss it with her, and if this is going to be a regular thing, then he could pay half. I'm not about to pay for something that I'm not gonna pay for another dude's kid and then for him to not pay for the kid and then to come around and reaping the benefits of me paying for his kid. That's stupid. There's love and then there's stupidity, and that's not even bordering, that is in the land of stupidity. Last one, he's entitled to see his daughter even if he hasn't been the best dad in the past. It sucks that you get pushed out of the way, but this is the shitty reality of being a step parent. And that's a solid one to end it on because at the end of the day, it's not your kid, that's his kid. And if he wants to try, mom's going to probably let him try because, if she had a father, she's going to want that relationship. And if she didn't have a father, she's going to want that relationship for her child. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation on that one. I say just talk to her, talk to her and see what's happening. This is 8 years old though, so I'm sure this situation has gotten resolved. But if it hasn't and you see this, talk to her and see what you could do about it. Thank you for watching this episode of the Fathers United podcast. Check out the other content, like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know any subjects related to fatherhood that you would like for me to research and discuss with you. And yeah, subscribe for more father content. Check out Analyzing Fathers. We got daily dad jokes. I got some other stuff coming. I'm going to start interviewing fathers pretty soon here about their businesses and things like that. And just trying to find new ways to bring you cool father-related content.